Hi, I'd like to show you how to make a homemade water ionizer. I've tried to source all the parts from our local hardware store, so you should be able to find everything quite easily. What I've done is I've got two Brita 8.5 litre water containers. I've chosen these. They were expensive, they were $65 each, as compared to say $10 each for regular plastic, but they are BPA free, and for my money that's a good thing, as other plastics don't get such a great rap. So what I've done, you can see in the middle, I've actually joined them. That's actually a fitting for a water tank, and you can see I've drilled a hole in between both tanks and I've slotted that fitting in. The white bit in the middle is just a spacer because the tanks aren't exactly square on the sides, so that's just a spacer. And basically that comes with a couple of washers, rubber washers. So I've drilled a hole, inserted them with a spacer in between the containers, and inside of that you need to put a sponge. I've chosen a sea sponge because it's from nature, and for my money that's better than a man-made sponge. So the sponge, once again, came from the hardware shop. It's a picture of the sponge. So the sponge just goes, you scrunch it up and you actually put it inside. Now that acts as the membrane, and when you actually turn it on, water will go from one side to the other. So that just goes squashed in between the two water tanks. A lot of DIY ionizers suggest that you use titanium as electrodes. I wasn't able to source titanium strips easily, so what I've done on the inside of the lids, okay, so that's a picture of my lid. If you were to lift it up, this is the electrode. What it is, it's a stainless steel strip, and I actually just modified it. It's a stainless steel cable tie that I have cut and drilled. So once again, stainless steel cable tie, just got that from the hardware shop. They're about $5 for 10. I've just chopped them and drilled them to size so that they fit inside the water tank. You can see the electrode hanging down there, and that seems to work really well to ionize the water. You'll see on the top there that I've just gone, it's just to make things tidier, I've just gone to the electrical shop and just got a couple of plugs. So I've just drilled a hole in the top, inserted the plug, there you go, you can see it underneath, and you can see how I've attached the electrode. So I just know that I've got a good connection there. You need to find yourself a DC power supply. So I just got this one from the electrical shop, from JCar. I got the plugs from JCar as well. So I chopped the ends off, and I've soldered a positive and a negative to the end of the power supply. So it's a DC power supply, it's 12 volts. You can experiment with larger voltages because I think that will ionize your water quickly. However, that's going to be, I'm still in the experimental stage with that. So essentially it plugs in on one side, and then plugs in on the other side. So there you can see it there with the two plugs ready to go. So essentially fill it with water and plug it in, turn it on. I do have an earth leakage switch on my house, but you could buy something like this. It's probably well worth the extra $20 just for your personal safety. If you're not quite sure, it's not worth mucking around with electricity and water. So you'll notice obviously the time is going to sort of vary depending on the quantity of water that you're trying to ionise. I've done one batch with this already. It was slow. You need to put a little bit of salt into the water. That will speed up the process. I may have been a bit light on with the salt. And you can, throughout the process, I've found, I've just got some, these are actually aquarium strips, but you can get other test strips. I find the strips much better than litmus paper, and it will give you a colour, and it will give you an idea of how acidic or alkaline your water is. It took about 24 hours for me to ionise 8.5 litres of water. So I'm still experimenting with the times. I'd like to get that time down. Some people seem to be able to ionise their water in a couple of hours. So that might mean a bigger power unit, or it may mean some more salt. So there you go. There you have it. That's my DIY water ionizer. And most of the parts came from Bunnings Hardware in Australia. So that's a water tank fitting. I got the Brita boxes from there. I got the electrodes from there. I got the natural sea sponge from Bunnings, and the only other place that I had to go shopping was to J-Car. That's where I got the plugs for the top of the unit and also the power supply. All up, it probably cost me $150, and of course you could make one much cheaper if you found some cheaper BPA-free containers, which I've since done. I've found 2 more for about $15 each. So there you go. Have fun.